Hey everybody, Dungeon Builder here. Today we're going to be talking about taking boring or lame adventures and how to spice them up, make them more fun for your players and more fun for you to run here on Dungeon Builder. Even the most dull or humdrum or overplayed kind of scenarios can be spiced up by you, the Dungeon Master, to be exciting and memorable, because our job as Dungeon Masters is to weave that story, keep our players engaged, and make sure everybody at the table's having fun. You're supposed to have fun too, so why do you want to run a boring adventure? Make sure that you're spicing it up so that you enjoy it as well. So to put these concepts into practice, we're going to look at an example adventure and think of ways to spice it up as we go along. So let's start off with a basic run-of-the-mill quest, an escort mission. So your group of adventurers is hired to escort some nobles from point A to point B. Great, that's the whole quest. Now you could present it in a really boring way, being like,
"Hey, you found a job notice that said some nobles in town need your help transporting them to another town."
And yeah, that's super boring. But let's look at some ways that you can quickly and simply make it a little more interesting for your players, for your table. So first off, establish the people that you're doing the quest for. Give the nobles some personality, some characteristics, some quirks. Your players were noticed by these nobles for whatever heroic deeds they've done so far. Say they've been called to a fancy palace and have been requested to have an audience with Lady Amara Leofric and Lord Aldrich Bainsworth, and they don't know what the mission is for, so add some suspense building up to it. When they're called in, describe who they see. Maybe this beautiful woman with a scar running down the one side of her face. She has like a big, boisterous personality, whereas the man has more of a stoic kind of appearance. He's dressed all in black, and his eyes are piercing, and he never says a word, but almost as if he's reading into their souls. Right there, you've already captured something in your players, or at least try to. Something interesting. They want to know more about these two. They want to know why they've been called there. And as they're given the explanation of the quest, they can say something like, they are journeying through the rugged and treacherous Blackwood Valley, where rumors have been running about of bandit gangs that have been taking prey on those that travel the lonely roads. So they want to hire the adventurers to protect them as they journey there. Right there, you've created some suspense, some mystery, and perhaps some intriguing ideas if they want to get to know these nobles, or perhaps there's a favor that they could get from the nobles if you tied into one of the characters' backstories. Maybe there's something that these nobles possess that could lead them on a different quest, or get them information or an item. Just some way to tie into the characters that gives some kind of intriguing pull to them. And then this Blackwood Valley, giving the location a name, something that's intriguing, that builds some suspense of what they're going to have to traverse and travel through. That helps spice it up a little bit and get them excited for what's to come. I like to give locations these evocative names like Lornmire, the Shadow Wilds, the Blackwood Valley. Just helps players kind of visualize what they're going to encounter. So those are easy ways that you can just take that boring escort quest and just get the players hooked in a little bit. Now the cool thing being the Dungeon Master is you get to control the pace of the story and the game. Let's say after they meet with the nobles and they get the quest and they're hooked in, maybe you want to have some downtime for them to go do some shopping or prepare. Or you could even make it a side quest that the nobles give them, that they have to get these special pieces of equipment for the journey to make it safer, or they have to get an object that they're going to transport along with them. Or you don't have to do that at all. What I personally would do is get right to the adventure. But you do have that option as the Dungeon Master. You can control the pace of the story, so don't forget that. It's up to you how fast things move, how quickly things move along. So if you need a break or a moment, maybe throw something like that in. Or if you're ready to get right to the adventure, which is what I would recommend doing, have them meet with the nobles, get the whole plot, and then fast forward to the next morning where they're gearing up and heading on the road. Now, finally, my last tip for making a boring adventure more interesting. So this is an escort mission, and you've alluded that there are bandits along this journey that have been robbing people and holding people up. Now, I personally would take that and flip it and just turn that on its head. The bandits are just a ruse to get the players thinking that way, but in actuality, there are no bandits.
there is something else way more scary or more intimidating or more difficult for them that they're going to have to deal with that's going to surprise them along the way. I wouldn't just have the surprise happen out of nowhere either. I would allude to it. I would drop subtle clues along the way. Maybe they find some broken down wagons, they find some dead bodies, or some loose horses coming the other direction. Perhaps they even see some dead bandits that are impaled on pikes as they get further and further along. More and more clues to allude, hey, I don't think we're necessarily dealing with bandits. And then when they least expect it, or halfway through the journey, bam, they get attacked by a massive ogre-like beast, some kind of monstrosity, and all chaos ensues. Maybe it roars coming out of the woods and flips over the front cart with the adventurers, and they go flying. The nobles are screaming and panicking, and now they have to defend them, and it's something they weren't expecting at all, but it's hilarious and fun, and there's just chaos everywhere. And it's great. Like, you've taken that simple escort mission where they're just going to defend them against bandits, and maybe they're going to have to barter or give some money, or there's going to be a little fight. And now you've turned it into they have to not only defend the nobles, but save themselves as well in this kind of crazy situation. And perhaps the ogre doesn't flip the cart, or they make a great save, and now it's a chase as this thing is chasing them through the woods, or they stop and have to rally the wagons and it turns into an epic fight. Or maybe there's bugbears that are allied with this massive ogre beast, and it's like an even bigger fight, more if their adventures are more powerful. Really, whatever sounds fun for you and your table. I know that's what it usually boils down to, but that's really what it is. Do what sounds fun for you to run, and also you think your players would enjoy. That's really the core mechanics of running a game. So they have this epic battle, and then either they flee and they make it through, or they defeat the creature, and then even by defeating the creature, perhaps they can take a trophy. They cut off the head of the beast and put it onto one of the wagons. The nobles are super grateful for them helping them when they get to their destination. Perhaps they have like a ceremony, give them some prestige, or they help them with something that you set up earlier on with one of the character backstories. They help them find a lost relative. They give them the clues to an ancient artifact that they're seeking for a different quest line, something like that. So these are just simple ideas that you can use to take a boring old escort mission and turn it into something more exciting. So our job as game masters and dungeon masters is to take the boring and the mundane and spice it up a little bit, add a little bit of flair, turn it on its head a little bit, look at it from a different angle. So I hope you found some of these tips and tricks helpful. Maybe it sparked some of those creative juices in you, turned your imagination on a little bit.
Comment down below an adventure that you've run that you feel like was super exciting, that your players were engaged the whole time, or maybe a way that you would spice up an adventure. I'd love to hear it down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Keep building.